We're here at the Whangarei Central Library with author Kristin Kelly, who's just published a book called The Squeakling and had a book launch today. And also with us is Christine Young from Storylines. So welcome to you both. Thanks for coming to the library.
Thank you very much.
And this wonderful book that's been published called The Squeakling. It's the tale of Spike, Max and the Tiny Intruder. It's a picture book. And Kristin is the author. And start with, are you a Whangarei local person?
Oh, I certainly am, yes. Yeah, Whangarei. My parents lived here and so came backwards and forwards from, did that hybrid Kiwi thing and lived in Sydney for a few years. And we moved back about 8 years ago. And now we live in Regent, so walking distance to town.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great spot.
Great. Yeah, walking distance to the library.
To the library, yeah, that's good. That's excellent. And of course you've published this book, this wonderful, wonderfully illustrated and unwritten book called The Squeakling. Can you tell us a little bit about the book, please?
Yes, The Squeakling is an imagined story about how two dogs feel about the arrival of a new baby into their home. It is a story that I wrote because millennials, and I know many millennials, had fur babies before they had actual babies, and they sort of, they were pet parents first, and so all of these babies are being born into families where their oldest sibling is actually a dog.
Wow.
And so this is a story for the dogs and for the families, and it sort of tells the story from their perspective, what it's like to suddenly lose the attention of their humans.
Interesting. See, I didn't know that about the millennials.
Yes, it's amazing. Look at the research. It's like 30, they're the highest rate of dog ownership of millennials.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I didn't know that. I assumed, not being a millennial, love to be a millennial, but I'm not, I'm older than that it was more about, being an older sibling.
It
like
is.
a sort of a metaphor.
It is a metaphor for siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two very cute looking dogs. Is it a particular type of dogs? Do you think?
I think this one's a Basset and this one looks like a Frenchie. But I took this story from two real life dogs who are both Kelpies who look quite different to that.
Okay.
That was the illustrator's interpretation.
Yeah.
And I love it because they are so expressive.
They are expressive, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell a lot when you're reading the book about what's going on based by how the dogs are feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other thing I noticed straight away, there were two characters in this book, which I love the names. There's Hey Babe and there's Sugar.
Yeah.
And I've already asked you this, but I'm going to ask you again. It's not based on yourself, is it?
No, it's actually my son and his wife.
Yeah.
They're always, hey babe, Sugar.
Right.
Yeah, and so I just, perfect names. Yeah. And I love that because the dogs wouldn't know their names.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it's very funny. Straight away when I was reading it, I loved the humour going through it.
That's great.
Now, I read this because I thought I was going to have to read this book to the crowd that was here. Quite a fantastic turnout, by the way, for your author book launch and author talk.
Thank you.
So I read through it.
Yeah.
And it was such an easy book to read. And because I read a lot of stories to preschool fun time sessions at the library, not all books are created equal in terms of how well they read to a crowd, but this reads so easily, even as your first time reading it aloud. Did you spend a lot of time working on that, or is that something that comes easily?
I'm a preschool teacher.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that helps a lot. Being a preschool teacher, you know what is going to work for 4-year-olds, for young children. And there are many books out there written for children that actually don't scan well, that lose children's attention. And you know what's going to hook them in. And you know that children love humour. And they also quite like that point of pathos that's in the book. They would really relate to that. So, and I think that children would really love the last page. My granddaughter already will fill in the last page details for me. She just says, uh-oh. Oopsie daisy.
They need a bit where they can join in.
Exactly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we were talking before, Christine, about how the illustrations have a lot of opportunity for interpretation as well.
Yes, because reading books to kids is about that helps their language development. but you can also talk about the illustrations in picture books. And this book has some wonderful illustrations where there's a very simple statement, or apparently very simple statement in the words, but the illustration has brought out more detail that you could say, oh, they're bringing in the washing, what are they doing? And of course they've got it filthy dirty, and no wonder they're not, praised for it. But so there's lots of opportunities for language development. If it's a grandparent or a parent or whoever reading the book, there's more opportunities for interaction as well as just for reading it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, the illustrations do go beautifully with the words.
I guess, sorry, you'll know that it's the interaction of the words and the pictures in any picture book.
Yes,
that make it.
Yeah, like when I was writing it and writing those very simple sentences, but knowing what the illustrator could do with that.
Yeah, that's right.
I think is really important. But also, I love that irony between they brought in the washing, and of course it's filthy because they're dragging it in, but they're trying to be helpful. So it's getting kids to think, well, did they mean for that to happen? What was their intention? So there's lots of layers in there.
Yeah,
that
you can get quite deep with that, can't you?
You can.
Yeah,
You can.
there's a lot of opportunity for talk about this book as well as just reading it.
Yeah.
So do you have that, because obviously you're not the illustrator in this case, do you have in your mind as you're writing lines what is happening about the washing, or do you just leave that to the illustrator and they go for it?
I 100% have a picture in my head. If I had the talent, I would be an illustrator, but I don't. I do, when I've written these books for my class, I've always illustrated them myself. But my illustrations are just, that are clumsy, but children forgive you clumsiness, right? So when you see it done professionally like this by Ronya, it's so uplifting and so rewarding because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so lively. You know how you can get so much life into an illustration?
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned Ronya's name, we should mention Ronya Schipper is the illustrator.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. How long have you been writing books for?
Well, as long as I've been teaching, but I've been published about 5 minutes.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, wow. So it's your first published book?
I've actually got another book that you've got here in the library called Mitchell Itches, and it's about a little boy with eczema. I was a nurse before I was a teacher, and eczema is a subject quite dear to my heart because I had a little boy with eczema in my class, and I just think it's one of the most overlooked conditions because it affects as much as 30% of kids.
Wow. And
you can't find any books about it. So I wrote that one as my service to all those kids with eczema out there, and it shows eczema in a positive light, where the child has agency, and I just felt that was so important. So the Squeakling is actually my fun project, whereas Mitchell felt like, that was my gift project.
Fantastic. I'll have to look up that. I mean, I'm just thinking what lucky children having you for a preschool teacher that writes books.
Thank you.
Writes books for them, basically, and then tries them out. How cool is that?
Thank you. Yeah. It's sometimes it's easier to do that.
Yeah.
To just write the book, because you can get the kids to illustrate it themselves as well, and read it to the class, and then you put it into the class lending library. They take it home. They bring it back. The only thing I'd say that I regret about it is that at the end of every year I used to hand them out to the kids.
And you haven't got any of them?
I haven't got them. And now I'm like, I wish I had those.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah. Well, hopefully you've got plenty more creative ideas, I'm sure. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. And so you're here today because of obviously your book being published by Scholastic, but it's also in conjunction with Storylines. So I'll bring you in, Kristin. Well, that's all right. Can you tell us a little bit about Storylines and how you... Well,
perhaps I'll start with why Kristin's here. She won the Storylines Joy Cowley Award, and that's one of our 5 manuscript awards. And Storylines calls for manuscripts by New Zealand writers. And part of the prize, if you win, is a promise of publication. We have sponsoring publishers. So in this case, it's Scholastic. They sponsor the award. And once we announce the winner, Scholastic takes over and publishes and works with Kristin. And we really don't see those books again until they get launched, like today. So Storylines has these manuscript awards. And we also do what's called story tours, and we take New Zealand authors and illustrators into schools and libraries and early childhood centres all around New Zealand. And our ethos, our kaupapa, is engaging New Zealand children, tamariki and rangatahi, with New Zealand authors and illustrators. And so we do these story tours with 4 authors and a driver, and we spend a week going to about 30 different schools in a week, and the authors and illustrators go into the classrooms and talk to the kids, talk about their books, talk about the process of creating books. And in most cases, the teachers work before and after the visit so that they learn more about the different books that this author has written, or they look at different kinds of books or whatever. And so I'm the chair of the trust, and we do all of this at no cost to the schools, and we pay the authors for what they do. So there's a trust, the Storylines Trust, that raises money so that we can take these van loads of authors and illustrators, and we can organise the awards that we run, and do that at no cost to anybody else. It's a charitable trust, and there's a group of absolutely dedicated volunteers who help us, who are librarians, teachers, people who just love books and know how important reading for pleasure is. And we have a 9-member board that looks after the finances, and I'm at the moment chair of the board.
Well, thank you for all the work you do. I mean, I've been with the library for a number of years, and we've had Storylines festival events, but to be honest, I wasn't actually sure of the background of how all that worked. So
Storylines has been around for about 20 years in its current form, and before that it was the Children's Literature Association and the Children's Book Foundation, or the other way around, and they merged and formed into Storylines. So long-standing organisation, but in the past has been quite below the radar, and we're trying to pop our heads up a bit more and let people know about us, and also encourage people to support us, because it's not cheap touring a van load of authors and illustrators around different parts of the country. But we all thoroughly enjoy it. We love doing what we're doing, and wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah,
fantastic. Well, thank you for that. I mean, wonderful that you were able to bring the book launch from Kristin today here, so thank you so much for that.
I really appreciate that. It's so nice that you're in Whangarei.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. I really enjoy being part of these events, and so do any of the rest of our committees, if they're available. But it's lovely to be here, and and especially to launch a book that's as good as this. I really genuinely think this is a great book.
Oh, so do I, and a very worthy winner of the Joy Cowley Award.
Absolutely.
I would say. Well, thank you. We had a great morning here at the Central Library. Good turnout of people. I think everyone's enjoyed themselves. So thank you both for coming, and good luck with the rest of the book. And I encourage everyone to check out the Squeakling. You can buy it at all booksellers, independent bookshops. Copies at the library wherever you are, I'm sure, in New Zealand or around the world if you're listening. So thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks so much, Glenn. Thank you.